Our next session is Engage Your Faith Group on Climate with Bill Bray, Nadine Sapirman, and Rebecca Cotton.
Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca Cotton and I am one of the co-leaders for CCL's Episcopal Action Team. On behalf of myself and my two colleagues, Nadine Sapirman and Bill Bray, I would like to thank you for choosing to join us for this breakout session, Put Your Faith into Action with CCL. I will start off by sharing a little bit about CCL's diverse group of faith action teams, and then Nadine and Bill will offer a more in-depth discussion of their work with the Unitarian, Universalist, and Presbyterian action teams, and how you can replicate their successes either as an individual, as part of an action team, or with your chapter. Well, this is a pre-recorded talk. The three of us are present on the Zoom line and happy to answer any questions you might have in the chat. Additionally, our contact information and the contact information for all the faith action team leaders is present in a handout that you can find in the chat or on the CCL community page. Many people of faith see the earth, humanity, and living things as a gift from the divine, whatever we define that entity as. Therefore, proper stewardship of the earth and its resources is considered a moral imperative. It is our responsibility to preserve God's gifts, which were the legacy of those who came before us, and provide for the future of those who come after us. This understanding leads many of people of faith and faith organizations to believe addressing climate change is a moral issue of critical importance. Our 13 CCL faith action teams play a powerful role in translating this moral call to good stewardship and care of creation into nonpartisan political advocacy. While many people of faith can agree that care of creation is important, they might not intuitively see a link between this moral call and political advocacy. CCL faith-based action teams clarify this link and offer guidance about proactive steps their faith communities can take, such as writing their members of Congress in support of HR 763. Because of past efforts by CCL volunteers, the Episcopal Church, Presbyterian Church, Unitarian, Universalist Association, Society of Friends, and the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops have statements in support of a carbon fee and dividend policy, some of which specifically mention HR 763. In the past year, CCL's Jewish advocacy team added an endorsement from Hazan, the largest faith-based environmental organization in the U.S. But securing national statements of support is only the beginning of our action team's work. My own team, the Episcopalians, are planning a letter writing outreach to all 123 Episcopal bishops based in the U.S., asking them to voice their support for a carbon fee and dividend policy. CCL's Buddhist, Baha'i, and Latter-day Saint action teams have revitalized this year after a period of hiatus, and are now offering monthly meetings, engaging with their faith leaders, and for the Buddhist group, beginning a book study on Eco-Dharma by David Loy. The Evangelical Christian team is hosting virtual prayer and share events open to all to support their team members and others in this time of dual climate and COVID-19 crisis. The Earth-Based Spirituality team worked with an interfaith coalition in New Orleans to host a prayer breakfast where they gathered 50 faith leaders and frontline volunteers to learn and pray for climate action. The Catholic Action Team tallied over 500 constituent comments in one weekend using a multimedia display in a team member's church after Mass. And our newest action team, the United Methodists, had their very first team meeting just a few days ago. Citizens Climate Lobby faith-based action teams offer a wealth of resources for you to learn about the religious foundations for climate action and how to engage in faith-based advocacy in your own community. People from any background are welcome to join any of our 13 faith-based action teams, but if you don't see your faith represented here, you can also start your own team. And with that, I would like to introduce Nadine Sapirman to talk about her work with the Unitarian Universalist team. Nadine, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Thank you, Rebecca. Hi, I'm Nadine Sapirman. I am co-leader of CCL's Unitarian Universalist Action Team, along with Ann Perry. And I'm a CCL group leader in Central New Jersey. I am the chair of my UU congregation's Green Sanctuary Committee, and I see addressing climate change as a key way to put my faith into action. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal faith tradition deeply committed to social justice and environmental justice. In 2006, the UUA General Assembly meeting passed what we call a statement of conscience that calls on us to act on the personal, local, and national levels to adopt practices that will reverse global warming/climate change, and to do so in ways that are just and equitable. In 2015, delegates at the UUA National General Assembly meeting passed an action of immediate witness that calls on Unitarian Universalists to unify and provide ethical and moral leadership for climate action, and to do so within our congregations and within our multi-faith communities. Given our denomination's strong support for climate action, in 2018, Ann Perry and I reached out to a key leader at the UU Ministry for Earth and a key leader who is the Senior Associate for Climate Justice on our denomination's organizational strategy team. We had many conversations with these leaders addressing their questions about HR 763 and its impacts on frontline communities. Our ask was for the Unitarian Universalist Association's support of the bill. In mid-March of 2019, we got word that the UUA was endorsing the bill with a statement of support that emphasizes frontline communities. That statement ends with, "It will take all of us and many strategies to create climate justice, including passage by the 116th Congress of the EICDA." Our action team has over 160 members from all around the country and keeps growing. We meet bi-monthly on Zoom and use CCL's community forums to share successes and plan future actions. As in other faith action teams, our members talk to their congregations. They talk to their boards and their ministers to educate them about the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. Our volunteers have given sermons about CCL and HR 763 during Sunday worship services. We work collaboratively with interfaith groups such as Interfaith Power and Light. In states that have a UU legislative ministry group, our members are in conversations with those groups as well for support of the bill. To date, there are 30 individual UU congregations and 13 Unitarian Universalist ministers that have endorsed HR 763. Many more have supported a carbon fee and dividend policy. Some of our Arizona and Florida members weren't satisfied with getting the support of their own ministers and congregations, so they have reached out to other congregations in their state, hosting presentations and having discussions with them about the bill. I've heard of UU CCL volunteers hosting discussions with local Sierra clubs or other environmental groups to discuss the bill. These conversations are not always easy or comfortable, but as people of faith and CCL volunteers, we respectfully engage in dialogue to build relationships. One of our recent initiatives was a letter writing campaign to ask our denomination's national publication, the UU World, to feature the work of Unitarian Universalist CCL volunteers. Just last month, we put together a video that will be shown at our annual UU General Assembly, now virtual. That's coming up later this month. And we'll have ads during the General Assembly event that will draw attention to the UUA's endorsement. I hope that hearing some of what UUs do inspires you to take action in your faith community. Next up, we'll hear from Bill Bray of the Presbyterian Action Team.
Thank you, Rebecca and Nadine, and thank you all for joining us today. I'm Bill Bray, a Presbyterian elder and leader of CCL's Presbyterian Action Team. I'm also the group leader for the Woodlands chapter in Texas 08. In 2008, the Presbyterian Church USA called for pricing greenhouse gas emissions to internalize the price. In 2018, PCUSA's General Assembly approved an overture entitled Support for Carbon Pricing with over 80% of the vote. This overture supported and described our carbon fee and dividend and stressed how important the dividend is to protect the meek. The overture stated that we should not support this passively, but we should, quote, work with other citizens, voters, legislators, and other organizations with parallel goals on carbon pricing. It noted that, quote, Citizens Climate Lobby is one such organization, and their proposed carbon fee and dividend is one effective method of carbon pricing. PCUSA has since issued statements of support for HR 763 and has a link on its national website to write Congress in support of the Energy Innovation Act. So after our overture passed and we had a strong statement of support, we started our Presbyterian Action Team, which has grown to 58 members. Like all CCLers, we are working at pulling all of the levers of political will that we have access to. We work with PCUSA's national, regional, and local organizations to use their varied communication tools to get our solution out to the over 1.5 million members of our denomination. We give presentations to churches, presbyteries, seminaries, retirement communities, earth care congregations, and all Presbyterian groups concerned with caring for God's wonderful creation. We spread the Presbyterian and faith opportunity to the CCL nation through national conference panels like this, forums, and every other way we can. At the first CCL National Conference, after we obtained our national support, our action team wrote a joint letter to all members of Congress that self-identified as Presbyterian. We collected signatures electronically beforehand and hand-delivered them on the Wednesday after Lobby Day. The Presbyterian members make up 5% of Congress, the Episcopalians another 5%, and the Catholics 30%. That's 40% of Congress that self-identify with a faith that not only advocate for climate action, they support our carbon fee and dividend approach. We're identifying Presbyterian CCLers in states and districts with Presbyterian MOCs and activating them to connect with their MOCs. Early on, we talked to our professional lobbyists in DC to find out how to use our national support most effectively. They said that while getting Presbyterians to write more CCL letters to Congress helps, having an independent organization like PCUSA show strong support would be even more impactful, as it shows wider support. We started Presbyterians for Common Dividend to have an identity within the denomination and to help build this independent support. We offer virtual Sunday schools in this Corona time of remote gatherings. We'll have had 5 by the time of the conference and hope to have many more. We had 80 attendees on one Zoom presentation to Chapel Hill. On another virtual Sunday school, we fixed a date with just a couple of folks from one church, but as the word spread, it grew to reach 3 churches in southern Indiana with 2 different chapters. When we have a request from a specific congregation or area, we always include local CCLers to help connect the congregation with their local chapter and provide the political landscape specific to their area. We have 3 members of our action team ready and willing to give virtual Sunday schools. Contact us on our page on community to schedule one with the Presbyterian church in your area. CCL has action teams with 11 other faiths who would also love to help you reach out to their faith groups. One of our active members had a wonderful idea to get her pastor to show his flock how easy it is to call Congress during a worship service from the lectern. Rather than tell you about it, I'm going to play a few minutes of the video.
If you are a constituent and would like to leave a message for the Congresswoman, please leave the spelling of your name, your address and phone number, and your comments. Again, thank you for calling. Dialing General Mailbox.
Here we go.
Please leave your message after the beep.
Hello, I am Pastor Matthias Peterson Brandt, calling from Cherokee Park United Church, actually calling live during our Sunday morning worship service. We are celebrating Earth Day. We are here in St. Paul. And first of all, just want to thank you, whoever you are listening to this, receiving this voicemail. Thank you for your work during this challenging time. And pass my thanks along to the Congresswoman, Representative McCollum, for all her work. So I'm calling because I am deeply concerned about climate change and the impact to our earth. I'm concerned as a pastor, as a parent, as a citizen of the earth, and as a believer in the goodness of God's creation. And I also really care about financial safety for all people, be it someone experiencing homelessness or rural farmers trying to make it, or families pulling things to make ends meet. And so I'm asking Representative McCollum to support House Resolution 763. It's the Energy Innovation and Carbon Dividend Act. Does good things both for climate change, combating climate change, and passes dividend along to families as well. So that's it. We send our prayers with you, prayers of gratitude to you, to the staff there, to Representative McCollum. Thank you. Thanks for your leadership. Thanks for your care during these times. Bye. you go. That was it. That was easy.
So most of what we have been talking about is what people of faith can do with their faith. But there's an opportunity for all CCLers, regardless of your faith, that you can use for outreach. And that is reaching out to any and all faith-based organizations in your area. The faiths that have national statements of support may be the easiest one to start with, as Catholics, Episcopalians, UUs, and Presbyterians. And remember, these cover 40% of the members of Congress. So call the local church office, introduce yourself, reference their denomination's overtures, resolutions, or statement of support, and then explore who you can talk to. They may have an environmental group, which would be an easy first step, or social justice groups or environmental justice groups, and they will certainly have educational groups and leaders. These are all opportunities. Offer to come and give a talk on HR 763 and your local efforts. The faith action teams are ready and willing to help remotely, describing their denomination's support. Our contacts are in community under the faith action teams. In conclusion, Rebecca, Nadine, and I thank you all for joining CCL's conference and our faith panel today. And we also thank you for your great work with CCL. Hopefully this has been useful for you, and we have been able to answer a few of your questions in chat. There's also a handout with more information, emails, and links, and we are all more than happy to try to answer your questions via email or community forums after the conference as well. Thank you and have a good day.
All right, thank you, Bill, Nadine, and Rebecca. We have about 2 to 3 minutes. Mindy, if you want to ask maybe one question, we can have them answer for us today.
I do. There seems to be a theme in some of these questions about barriers and getting your church to move and the concern about it being a political issue. Bill Middlecamp provided a statistic that it is the second least favorite topic for pastors to preach on, and only 14% sometimes address it regularly. So how can we help move our church leaders beyond those barriers towards this?
If I could take a shot at that, that's a good question, Bill. Appreciate it. I hadn't seen those statistics before, but as with everything CCL is having a conversation with the pastor and showing them the support in your congregation for the issue is a good way to start. A lot of churches have earth care teams, and having one of those that shows that there's a body of you that are interested in this and it's worthwhile. Sharing the video that Pastor Mathis made up in Minnesota would be a good way to show them that that you can step out and talk about this issue. It is political, unfortunately, but it's also about creation, which we should all be concerned with.
Awesome, thank you. I think we could quickly do one more, Mindy, if there's another.
Yeah, there was a question specifically about that the Church of England has decided to be carbon neutral by 2030. And do we know of other faith groups that have either created the same targets or better targets, or just ones that are really leading on this?
I'll take a stab at that. I know the Anglican Church, which is connected to the Episcopalians, which is the action team I'm part of, has made that commitment. There are a lot of other faith traditions that if they haven't quite said, carbon neutral by 2030 or by 2050 or whenever it is, have said some degree of support about climate change, about reducing their own emissions. A lot of faith traditions also have offices in Washington, D.C. or in other government areas that do direct outreach to members of Congress and to other legislative leaders. So I know the Episcopal Church has an office that does that. I know Presbyterian USA does, the Unitarian Universalist, the United Methodist, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops. Certainly the Pope's encyclical on climate change that came out 5 years ago has been really impactful for a lot of people. So sometimes it's just a matter of
looking and doing, a quick Google search. What is the position of my faith background, and what do they say about climate change? And you'll be surprised at what you can pick up and find.
Perfect, thank you. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, but I did post a link of the forums in the chat if you did want to ask them in those forums, and Rebecca or Nadine and Bill can get back to you on those. We're going to have a 15-minute break, and then we will get started with our next session. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Citizens Climate Lobby's training program. You can tune into more episodes anywhere podcasts are available. Inspired by what you heard today? Join Citizens Climate Lobby to advocate for bipartisan climate solutions. Go to community.citizensclimate.org to find more trainings, resources, your local chapter, national action teams, discussion forums, and more. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram @CitizensClimate. We also invite all of our listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiration. And together, we are creating the political will for a livable world.